You attract what you are. So if you're not a vibrational match for your dream man, you will not attract them. I'm not saying this to make you hopeless. I'm saying it to help you actually find your dream man. To find and attract the dream man, you have to become the dream woman. What that really means is you have to become the qualities you're seeking in a partner. Every relational partner is a reflection of our frequency and where we are at. The belief that I am lovable will allow you to attract someone who actually loves you. If you don't believe you are lovable, you will not attract someone who loves you. Allow singlehood to become a vehicle to become the traits you seek in someone else. You use that time wisely to become the best version of yourself. Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of the New Age Sage podcast. Today we're going to talk to you ladies, specifically about how to find your dream man. And why I'm saying this is that it frustrates me, not to pick on you ladies, that many people just feel entitled to that dream man, right? An example would be a woman, an average woman, none of us are average according to God, but you get what I'm saying, expecting that she'll find and attract the dream man. And those qualities are subjective, but I'll list ones that are more objective, but she feels entitled to that man just because she's herself. But the understanding attraction, by law, by spiritual law, you attract what you are. So if you're not a vibrational match for your dream man, you will not attract them. I'm not saying this to make you hopeless. I'm saying it to help you actually find your dream man. To find and attract the dream man, you have to become the dream woman. What that really means is you have to become the qualities you're seeking in a partner. That process is how you become the one. When you become the one yourself, when you become the qualities you're seeking in someone else, you become the one. And when you are those things, you won't need those things so much in someone else, which is when, by law, you attract them. So, to do this for an exercise, you don't have to do it, but if you want to get the most juice out of this video, I'd appreciate it if you wrote down the qualities of your dream man, right? Just list them out. What you want in them, everything, down to the fucking looks, to the style, to everything. And then be real with yourself. Write down, for example, if you want him to be funny, and you're funny, that's a check. Boom, boom, we're good. Okay? Now, if one of those data points is I want him to be humble, and you're posting Instagram selfies every day with duck lips, that's not going to check, right? So you have to be brutally honest with yourself in this regard. So say, check the qualities you have, and then asterisks or X if you want, the qualities you don't have. And then underneath that subcategory, write down how you're coming up short, right? If the quality is, again, humility, and you're posting duck faces, and you're DMing every guy left and right, then write down, I don't feel humble, and these things are stopping me from getting there, right? So you start building awareness as to where you're coming up short. And this is also useful because we don't waste our time being single. I think the common perception when we're single is that we're wasting our time. We're just sitting there being like, where's my person? And we're complaining, waiting for them to arrive like a fucking magic genie, right? When you allow singlehood to become a vehicle to become the traits you seek in someone else, you use that time wisely to become the best version of yourself, right? So you're actually using the single period to train to become the most worthy lover, right? Before a fight, a fighter is training to be the best sparring partner for the fighter. He uses that time wisely, or she uses that time wisely to become a worthy opponent for the other fighter, or else he'll get fucking beat up and chucked out. The same goes for here when you're single. You have to use your single time wisely. And using that time wisely is a reflection of becoming the traits you seek in someone else. When you use that time wisely and you become the traits you seek in someone else, you become the vibrational match for your dream person. Now compare that to someone who is doing nothing but sitting on their ass watching TV complaining. that person will not find their match. You will find your match by using the time wisely. The single period, if used correctly, will help you become the match you're seeking. All right? That's the thesis here. Okay. Now, on the other end of this, you will keep attracting duds if you are a dud. Right? This is where I have to get real myself personally to not single you guys out here. When I was, in college, attracting women who didn't give a fuck about me, who said they loved me, but then they would run off. I used to love that hot and cold pattern. I used to love a woman being super into me and then running away and then coming back. That's what my mom did as a kid. All love to her. I know she's here. I love you, Mom. But that process kept happening because I allowed that. I was the vibrational match for that. I hadn't healed my trauma to heal that wound, so I kept attracting the same thing. I kept attracting the same wounded woman because I was the same wounded man. When we look back in retrospect at our partners and we all say they were crazy, they were a narcissist, they were in pain, you attracted them. You were also in pain. You were also wounded. So if we use that reflective capability to look back and say, where was I the dud? Where did I frequency-wise match to the person that was in pain? That is evidence for the fact that when we are a dud, when we are in pain, we attract someone who's a dud or in pain in the same way. Every relational partner is a reflection of our frequency and where we are at. Period. So if you're single and you complain all the time and you're a victim and you hate yourself and you're not working out, you're gaining weight, you will attract someone on the same page. Or, and this is important, and this is even worse, you'll further become that dud, that victim, that unworthy partner, and you'll expect yourself to find the dream man, and you're less likely to find them because you're becoming the nightmare version of yourself. So when you become the nightmare version of yourself by using the single period to become a victim and be lazy and do nothing, you're increasing the chances of not finding your match. So this is why this topic is so important, right? The more you become the partner you don't want in someone else, the more likely you are to not find that person. So when a lot of women are single and they do nothing, they gain weight, and I'm not, for those who are anorexic, gain weight, great. I mean more so if you're becoming unhealthy. I mean, let me clarify to those women with eating disorders, I don't want to be mean to them because they're going through a lot. Let's put it this way. You're becoming unhealthy. I'm going to correct myself there. You're becoming unhealthy mentally and physically, okay? You're being a victim, right? You're then destroying your chances of finding the one for yourself, right? That is self-sabotage. Self-sabotage when you're single is becoming the nightmare version of yourself, therefore not becoming the frequency vibrational match for your dream partner, okay? Now, I'm going to move on to, I think, 5 or 6, maybe 7, if you have time. Stereotypical qualities that women seek in their dream man. I tried to average the most seeked data points in the dream man that women want objectively. So I'm going to list them out, and then I'm going to talk about how to tell if you're a vibrational match for those qualities, firstly, and if you're not, how to heal yourself to become that thing. Again, I will list out objective qualities you want in a dream man, and I will say how to recognize if you have those things in yourself and how to, if not, become those things and attract that person. Okay. Number one. This is number one because I think we overthink this. You want a man who is able to love you. Let me repeat that. You want a man who is able to love you. This is the foundation because most people are not able to love anyone because they're so wounded, narcissistic, or in deep pain that they're afraid of love. So at a base level, you want a man who is able to love you. Okay. Now, doing the math here. Are you able to love yourself? I know this is fucking cliche. I get it. I really do get it. Like, I don't unconditionally love myself, but I'm trying. So let me lay it out in detail. You can only receive love to the degree that you allow in your own heart. Okay? So let me explain how this is a fact. And then I'll add some nuance at the end to give you hope that, you can't unconditionally love yourself, but You can work on it. And that working on it is the self-love process. Anyways, okay. I'm going to use my own experience here because you can't deny my experience. I think the only facts you can bring to life are our experience of life. So I will show you how when I really didn't love myself, I couldn't feel loved. I'm going to show you how that situation plays out. Okay. So I have now moderate anxious attachment disorder per se. I don't know if that's actual clinical disorder. I had severe anxious attachment, severe, to the extent that my mom passed away pretty suddenly when I was 23. The feelings of terror, trauma, and grief that I felt in healing that didn't even come close to the triggers I felt when my romantic partner was abandoning me. Like, that trauma of feeling abandoned as a kid was so wired into the core of myself that nothing in life even ever comes close to the intensity of that feeling. That feeling is what made me mostly a drug addict in my early 20s and to almost try and take my life. So how does that manifest as me not being able to receive love? So I'll lay it out. My ex-girlfriend loved me unconditionally. I've only experienced that from my mother, my father, my sister. Thank God I had that in my life. And my ex-girlfriend. That has been the biggest gift I've been given thus far in this life, is to have someone who loves me when I'm failing. To have someone who loves me when I'm an asshole. To have someone who loves me when I'm kind. To have someone who loves me amidst all the different parts of myself, all the different moods, all the different failures and successes, all the different health protocols, all the different moments of losing someone. That girl loved me, no matter what. And this is a beautiful example for what I'm going to say, because I couldn't feel it. This girl loved me with everything she had, always. And I couldn't feel it because of my unhealed anxious attachment. Whenever I perceived irrationally that she was taking a step back, such as, if she was on a hike with her friends and she took hours to respond, or forgot her phone somewhere, or she was going out to a party and wasn't on her phone for hours, I would then take that as literal evidence that she did not love me. And I would sit in the feeling of, you hate me, you don't love me, you want to break up with me, just by those small things that every couple goes through, every healthy couple goes through when people need space to find themselves, right? So when she was taking space to have fun, to find herself, at no cost to me, I then took it as a way to make myself feel like she does not love me, okay? That happened. That unhealed wound caused me to believe that someone who loved me unconditionally didn't actually love me, which caused so much drama, so much trauma, so much pain, so many things I fucked up with deeply to fuck up the relationship. And that was all because I didn't love myself. Okay? How so? If I truly loved myself in those moments, I could see, oh wow, let's say the trigger came up. I could see in that moment, oh wow, this trigger is from my childhood. I have to process it and feel it and love it, because it has nothing to do with her, because she loves me unconditionally. And that's a reflection of self-love, because I realize that this is my problem. This wound, this anxious attachment is my problem to heal. And when I don't want to heal it, when I'm in shame about it, I make it her problem, right? When we don't want to heal our own wounds, we make it the partner's problem, right? My own anxious attachment disorder became her problem to deal with because I didn't want to look at it. And I didn't want to look at it because I didn't love myself, right? My love was conditional on the fact that I didn't want to look at that wounding, right? I was a strong, macho man. How could I possibly be weakened by a trigger from my childhood? Fuck that, right? That's not an example of self-love. So, here's the truth. Almost nobody loves themselves unconditionally, right? You can still love yourself if you don't love yourself unconditionally. Let me say how. Self-love is the process of coming back to the heart when we tell ourselves we don't love ourselves for a specific reason, right? If this podcast tanks, right? and my mind inevitably goes to the fact that how could you possibly fail? You fucked up. Da, 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 da. I then come back to the heart. I come back and say, hey, you know what? Voice in my mind that wants to conquer. Thank you. I know why you're here. I know why you're here because I'm competitive and that makes me work hard. But I actually love myself. This failure, quote unquote, does not mean I don't love myself. So self-love essentially is the choice to come back to the heart in yourself when your mind takes you away. Self-love does not mean that you love yourself unconditionally. It means that you will try your best to do so even when you constantly fail. This takes pressure off us, right? And why this is important for relationships is that your partner will make you feel unworthy at times. Your partner will reveal your incapacity for intimacy, to be loved, to feel seen, right? We all have those wounds, unless you're enlightened to the highest degree, which only maybe a handful of people in this world are, myself not included. Because I know self-love means coming back to the heart, whenever a theoretical partner, I'm single, when a theoretical partner in the future would say something or do something to trigger me, I know, oh wow, this is making me not love myself. It's not her issue. She loves me. I have to come back to my heart and love myself. And that choice makes me not run away because I'm not questioning the fact that my partner loves me or not. Okay? So to summarize the first data point, if you want a man who is truly able to love you, you have to love yourself. And I know it's cliched, but it's not. It's cliched because people don't understand what that means. What that really means is that you will love yourself when you're triggered. You will love yourself when you're deviating from your heart. You will love yourself when you're angry, right? And that matters because when your partner makes you feel that way, you won't make it their problem. You won't take that as a data point to suggest that they are not loving you. You will see it as a way to love yourself, right? When a person loves themselves, when a wound arises in a relationship, they make it their duty, their exercise to love themselves. And when you make it your partner's duty to show you that they love you in that moment, that wound will never get healed because that partner theoretically will always hold the keys to make you feel loved, but you can't, that's not possible. Someone else can't make you love yourself. It's impossible. They can show you how, but they can't make you do it. So to get to this place where you can attract a person like that, you have to learn to return to the heart when your mind's taking you away over and over and over again. Because that same skill will be practical when a partner triggers you and your mind makes it mean that you're not lovable. But you remind yourself, I am lovable. And that reminding of I am lovable will allow you to attract someone who actually loves you. The belief that I am lovable will allow you to attract someone who actually loves you. If you don't believe you are lovable, you will not attract someone who loves you. Women who attract men who are narcissists, who treat them terribly, attract them because they don't believe they are lovable. When women don't believe they are lovable, they attract narcissists, they attract bad people, they attract men who hurt them. The solution for women to attract men who are safe and amazing is to feel lovable. Because when they attract a man who is exhibiting qualities that shows, hey, this guy doesn't love me, they won't accept that. So women have to feel lovable or else they risk attracting dangerous men. I'm not saying that the men are the woman's fault. Men are fucking up and it's men's fault to heal everything. I believe that as a man. However, the ultimate protection spell for a woman in this world is to feel lovable because they will not attract a dangerous guy who treats them like someone who is not lovable. When you don't feel lovable, you tolerate people who treat you that way. So, on to the next one. Number 2. Of course, you should love to have a man who has their shit together. Okay, I think anyone in an ideal partner wants someone who has their shit together. Okay? Why wouldn't you want that? Right? So, let's get something straight. No one's perfect. You're not going to meet someone who has no flaws, no insecurities, no trauma. That's impossible. Literally. So, what you should expect is someone who accepts and owns their imperfections and is working on healing them. And healing them is basically not letting those imperfections leak onto the partner. So, to do this, you have to do that for yourself. How good are you at accepting and owning your faults? When you fuck up with a friend, when you fuck up with your family, can you tell that person, I fucked up? Because if you can't do that, you will not attract someone who can do that. If you want a man who owns their shit, who apologizes when he fucks up and deviates from his heart, you have to do the same thing. Like, in your life, are you apologizing when you fuck up? If you're not, start doing it, start owning your shit, and you will attract someone who also does the same thing, right? It has to go both ways here. And life will always give us opportunities to fuck up and to correct it. And the more you apologize to your family when you fuck up, the more you apologize to your kids, especially your kids, the more you apologize to your friends. Hey, I'm sorry I didn't answer you for a day. I shouldn't have done that. I was dealing with something. I won't do it again, right? That practice becomes a way to have our shit together, right? Again, having your shit together does not mean perfection. It means that you own your shit when it comes out. Metaphorically, if you fart in a big room and you say, that was me, I farted, right? Having your shit together is owning and accepting when you release that toxic gas to someone else. You will never be perfect, but you can learn to take care of your faults. And the more you cultivate that within yourself, that is what happens when someone has their shit together. They know themselves. They know their faults, right? Now, in terms of how to build that, how to cultivate that, you have to build awareness of your faults. Again, because having your shit together means that when you catch your mind about to do something that's rooted in ego or trauma or fear, you stop it because you know that part of yourself isn't welcome for the other person. You know that you can't berate someone because of your own trauma, right? So the solution here is to become more self-aware as a person, right? Having your shit together, again, means owning your flaws. You only can own your flaws if you're aware of them. So the practice here is to become increasingly aware of our own faults. And the process of that essentially is when we have a behavior that causes harm in ourselves and someone else, reverse engineering it to be like, okay, what made me do that? What belief and thought made me do that? And then going back to, okay, what emotional trauma caused that thought and belief? And the more you identify that emotional trauma, you'll realize when it manifests as a thought to then cause a behavior to hurt someone else or yourself. That process is hard to do alone, right? That's why therapy is important. Therapy is important because it makes you aware of what's driving your bad behavior per se. So that awareness is essential in someone who has their shit together. So to attract someone who has their shit together, become aware of yourself so you can accept your faults and not leak them out to someone else. Okay. To lay this thing out more specifically, let's do a split A/B test of a man who has their shit together, okay? A common wound for men is, for me personally, and this is what I have to work on. If you're going to judge me for it, I get it. It's a fucked up one, but it's honest, okay? When a female partner in the past would dress super provocatively, which to me suggests that you can essentially see the titties, per se, ass cheeks hanging out, that never made me feel good. And when I wasn't healed, when I wasn't aware, when I did not have my shit together, I would then use that discomfort to tell my partner, hey, you cannot leave the house wearing that. I had no fucking right whatsoever to tell her what to do ever. I don't have that right? And I abused that and I said, you cannot dress that if we're going out together. No fucking shot. I'm not comfortably wearing that. That was wrong. I didn't have my shit together. I didn't own it. I was a fuck, right? That's one version of a man who does not have their shit together, okay? The other version, which I became, which is, I think, anyone's issue, is saying, hey, when you wear those things, it makes me feel like another man's going to take you away from me. And I love you so damn much that makes me feel so much fear in my body. And that's my own wounding to deal with. Wear whatever you want. You have a right to wear that. If I feel or look a certain way, just know that I'm working through this wound. I'm sorry if it makes you feel like you can't wear that. That's on me, but I have to be honest where I'm at. Wear whatever you want. I feel this way. I'm working through it. That's on me. I will not use this as an excuse to control you, but I may seem off for a bit because I'm working through this, right? That's a whole fucking different man. That's a whole different man. What's different? The man is aware of his own wounding. The man is aware that he has to heal this wounding himself. Okay? Now, can you truly do that yourself? Right? If the tables were turned, can you be that person? Can you be the person, per se, that if your guy is going to play golf and that triggers you because your ex played golf all the time and abandoned you all the time by playing golf, it was never there. He, pushed you away and spent time with his friends playing golf instead of being with you, and that triggered you, right? And then your guy goes to play golf, and you're like, you cannot play golf because it triggers me. Or you don't even know that triggers you, you just say you can't play golf because you're abandoning me, right? Can you be someone who sits there and says, hey, when you play golf, it reminds me of when my ex used to abandon me to play golf all the time and it fucked up our relationship. You can do whatever you want. Just know that I would appreciate communication more so than usual when you're playing golf. Call in and check in 2 hours in and say, hey, I love you. What's up? Right? Just be there for me. Can you do that? Can you truly understand and know your trauma, own it, express your needs, not in a controlling way, and be okay with that? Can you truly do that as a person? Right? And that means owning your shit, apologizing if you fuck up, and being aware of your limitations. Are you that person? Right? If you're not that person, you will attract someone who's also not that person. If you cannot communicate your needs, if you cannot own your shit, if you cannot work on your trauma, you will attract someone who also cannot do those things. So when you sit there and say, I want a healed, amazing man who has her shit together, do you have your shit together? Because if you don't, you will not attract someone who is that way. And what better way to have our shit together than to practice it in the real world while we are single? Okay. And the last piece I'll say on this is that someone who has their shit together can communicate very well, articulately, and expressively what's going on inside themselves. Both examples I laid out, the healed version, was just someone who explained what was going on inside themselves. The ideal partner has a window into their mind. They tell you why and how they're feeling a certain way, and that they don't leave you in the dark. The best partner will always express why they seem off, why they're in a mood, why they're pulling away. That makes their partner feel safe. So if you want a partner with an open mind who shares exactly what's going on, how good are you at doing that? How good are you at expressing your sorrow, expressing your misery, expressing when you're happy, expressing when you're confused? How good are you at that? Because the degree to which you're good at expressing yourself at all times is the degree to which you will attract someone who's also great at being a window into their own mind. The best partners are someone who expresses where they're at all times to not confuse you and make you feel, what's going on with this guy, right? Are you that? Are you that? And it's an easy way to become that. All you have to do is when you feel vulnerable, when you feel antsy, practice saying that. And you don't have to know why, right? If you're talking about politics and you're feeling uncomfortable, say that. Hey, this conversation is making me feel uncomfortable. You guys can keep talking, but I may seem off. I'm saying that, right? You don't have a right to tell someone they can't talk about politics, but you can say, oh, wow, this conversation is bringing up a lot of fear in me because I fear whatever is going on in the world right now. And that's why I may seem off. Practice that. The more you practice that, the more you'll be able to attract someone who's like that. Okay. Number 3. Most women, if you ask them between two men, one who plays games, one who doesn't, they'll all say, I want the guy who doesn't play games. But then the men who don't play games never get the girls. And the ones who do play games get the girls. What's going on there, ladies? Why do the men who play games get the girls who don't want men to play games? What's going on here? So my question is, most women say they don't want games, but as I pointed out, that's not true. They actually want games. Women love games. Why? The shadow of the feminine is that of needing drama, needing gossip to feel satiated and alive, right? Think about the perpetual addiction to tabloids, historically, People Magazine, Drama Alert, watching Real Housewives. Like, why do women love that? Because there's an unconscious need to gossip, to be dramatic, right? Back in the day, when men were brutally forcing their way through life, the only power women had to protect themselves was to gossip, spread a rumor, saying, "Hey, this guy's inappropriate," which is true. And then that's how they save themselves. Women save themselves and gain camaraderie by gossiping. That's their evolutionary wiring. So that means that, like, to feel attracted to someone, generally, stereotypically, they need drama. They need the guy to take a couple of days of space, and the woman to have, like, oh my god, this guy's taking space. What does that mean? And then that makes him need the validation. The guy comes back and they're like, oh my god, he finally validates me. Oh my god, and then he pulls away again, and then we feel insecure, and they come back. Like, women are wired to need that, unfortunately, and they actually need that level of back and forth space and separation to feel love, to feel like they're falling in love. And if you think about it, that's one level on the evolutionary psychology. And a more mythological data point, the mythological stories that women grew up to love is just simple. The simple same psychology is, will they, won't they? Like, women are taught to believe through mythology growing up that the man they require to fall in love with is a constant pattern of, will they love me or won't they? There are all these issues we have to overcome. It's like a overarching story of separation and coming back and feeling insecure and coming back. It's like a drama, right? Like, women are wired to believe through, demonic Disney, to believe that they need a whole heroic story where the guy kills 80 lions to find the woman. So women are wired to believe that man has to, like, conquer all these demons to get them. But they mistake that that's actually a metaphor for a man having to conquer his own demons to be worthy of the feminine. Like, that's the actual hero's journey here. It's not him having to, play games. So how do women conquer this? Okay. Well, first you got to be aware. You got to be aware of the fact that, oh wow, this guy's pulling back, and I feel more attracted. If their space makes you feel more attracted to them, it means you're falling for the game. If you kind of felt with a guy, I don't know, after the first date, and then he doesn't text you for 2 days, and that space then makes you feel more inclined to him, just know you're falling for the game. And the way you break out of that cycle is by catching it. You catch it. You say, whoa, I'm only liking this guy because there's some psychological play here. Now, beyond the awareness, what's the actual wounds inside women that make them fall for this trap constantly? It all goes back to, I am not worthy, I am not enough. Because if I was enough, if I was worthy, why would I tolerate a guy who's playing games? Why would I tolerate a guy who's taking a week to call me? And why would I make that week to call me a reason to love him? Okay? So a woman who fully believes she is worthy of love will not tolerate games. Period. She'll catch him fast. And that's why women like that scare the fuck out of men. If you are a truly healed woman, you will scare the fuck out of men. Because you will catch their games in a fucking nanosecond. And men cannot play games with a woman who loves themselves. Period. So women like that need a man who honors them, who doesn't play games, who's there, who's present, who's with them, who sees them. Now, it's hard to click your fingers and be able to feel worthy of love immediately. It's a process, right? But what we can do in the meantime is not fall for the traps that make us stuck in the cycle of I'm not worthy of love. The more you fall for the games men play by taking space and coming back, the more you're perpetuating the never-ending cycle of not healing your trauma that's rooted I'm not enough. Okay? Now, in terms of owning your shit is most women will say, I don't want a man who plays games, but then they're playing games. Even unconsciously. They're unconsciously testing men. So obviously, for yourself, you have to stop playing games. You can't get a guy by playing games and then expect him to not play games. Again, you attract what you are. And playing games essentially means using your own fear of intimacy and love to shapeshift your authenticity, to manipulate someone to fall in love with a not real you, because the real you is not worthy of love. Someone who does not play games, a woman who does not play games, loves herself for who she is. Therefore, she doesn't have to present herself as a persona to get false love to then deny her authentic self, right? People who play games deny their authentic self because they don't love their authentic self and they have to play a persona to further push down the authentic self, right? So to get a guy who doesn't play games, you have to love your authentic self and lead with that version of yourself, okay? Because again, you attract what you are. If you're playing games and you're a fake person, you're going to attract someone who plays games and is a fake person, and that's a fake relationship, right? So many marriages have man, woman play this game they saw in movies of back and forth and will they, won't they, and they come together, and they're basically coming together off a fake persona, and they marry off a fake persona, and they have a honeymoon period off the fake persona, and then when that time passes, they realize, who the fuck are you? Who is this person? Who is this guy? Who is this bitch? Who's this asshole? Because they didn't know who each other were. When you present yourself as you are in the romantic courtship phase, you're giving them a gift because you're saying, hey, this is me. This will always be me. And you'll always remember this as me. When you play games in the courtship phase, you're showing an idealized face. And then when that mask goes away, you're giving them a curse. You're saying, hey, you fell in love with someone who wasn't me. But now you're stuck with me. Now you're stuck with a part of myself I hate. I played a game because I hate myself. And now the game's over. We're married. And you have to love the version of me I hate. That's games. Don't do them. Do not play games. Now, I will warn you ladies. There is a consequence of not playing games. Right? And that consequence is good. Because if you lead with you, this is a me. I am this queen. I am this amazing, amazing woman. Right? When you lead with that ownership, it scares men because men have to meet you there. And men cannot meet you there because men don't know themselves. Men don't know their authenticity. Men don't know their capacity for greatness. Most men are fucking lazy, depressed, and alcoholics. They can't handle a woman who shines, right? But to find a man who shines, you have to shine to the fucking loudest degree. And that will scare the fuck out of so many men because it'll make them feel like they're unworthy and they haven't shined themselves. So you're going to push away a lot of duds. But when you find that guy will fucking shine with you. And he will not only shine with you, he will make you shine more and more because your brightness does not make him feel insecure. Ladies, you want a man who will not feel insecure the more you shine bright. And you only can find that man when you allow yourself to shine bright when you're single. Because that man will know your brightness and not want to dim it down if he sticks with you. Right? If you quiet your shine for a guy to get his validation, when you start shining more, he'll want to keep you there because that's where he's at, okay? So many women enter a relationship where the guy and her feel good, right? Then she starts shining. She starts feeling great and attractive and worthy and loving him, and she's killing it at work. And the guy's like, who the fuck is this bitch? This girl isn't the girl I fell in love with. I can't match that. Come down to my level. I'm gonna critique you, make you feel insecure, so you come back to this darkness I have, right? Fuck that guy, right? And you only can attract a guy like that if you allow yourself to not shine. A woman not allowing herself to shine is what attracts these terrible men, okay? So understand it'll take a while to find a guy who appreciates your shine. But when you find that guy's the one. He knows you. He sees you. He's not scared, right? All those guys that got pushed away, great. Because you found a guy who can accept your shine. That's your husband. Okay. Now, number 4. Women want a man who is trustworthy and integrous. Okay. Who wouldn't want that? Would you want a guy who lies to you? No. All women, the common sentiment when you ask women, if you lined up 100 women, hey, tell me about what you think about men. Man, they're liars or cheaters, which just means that most women believe that men are not trustworthy and they don't have integrity, which is true. Most men are not trustworthy. Most men are not integrous. Most men are fucking, texting a bunch of girls on Snapchat, watching porn while you're together, right? You don't want that, right? So how do women protect themselves against attracting a guy who is untrustworthy? Can you trust yourself? Can you trust yourself to not sabotage yourself? Can you trust yourself to love yourself? Can you trust yourself to make a mistake and own it? Can you trust yourself to follow a plan? Can you trust yourself to be on time? Right? Can you trust yourself to be flirted with by a very handsome man when you're with someone and walk away? Can you do that? Right? For example, if you want a guy who is not texting girls and liking bikini pics and flirting with other women while you're together, can you do the same thing? Can you stop answering the hard eyes DMs? Can you stop entertaining fantasies when a guy likes your story when you're with someone? Can you stop flirting with men who are very handsome who talk to you at a party? Right? This is a test. Let's say you're with a guy, you love it, and you love him. And you're at a party and this handsome, dreamy motherfucker comes to you and is flirting with you. Can you hold yourself to the same standard you would your man, right? If you're cool with your man flirting with a hot chick at a party, then great, go flirt with a man. That's beautiful. That's a very valid way of being in a relationship. I get it. But if you would not like your man to flirt with a hot girl, can you trust yourself to not flirt with a hot guy? That's what happens here. Like, do you have enough integrity in yourself to not flirt with that hot guy? Because if you do, you will attract someone who has the same standard. I'll see so many men and women having a double standard, of men especially being like, my girl should never flirt with another guy. Ever. Haram. And they're out there fucking grabbing the next chick's ass at a party. Right? You have to have that same standard in yourself. Now, in terms of another common example of this is women who are like, man, my guy's texting his ex. I hate it. Oh, I can never have a guy who talks to his ex. Okay. If you have that standard, are you talking to your ex? I don't give a fuck if you're your best friend or you think he's gay now or he's sweet. Like, if you don't want a future partner who is very close friends with their exes, again, that's a choice. I'm not saying one's right or wrong. Are you following the same standard? Okay. Summarize. Do you trust yourself? Are you integrous? Do you own you fuck up? If you don't want your guy to flirt with a woman, are you flirting with guys? The essential component here for finding a man who is trustworthy and integrous is, are you a hypocrite? What standards do you set for your man that you don't have in yourself? Once you're aware of that and you own that and you heal that, you'll then attract a man who isn't a hypocrite. Right? I guarantee you, women who attract men who are flirting with other girls and who are disintegrous, I guarantee you they're also doing shit behind the scenes that isn't in integrity. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Whenever I've had exes where I've had an instinct to flirt and not tell her and she finds out, I then find out she's doing the same shit. She's texting some guy. Like, you have to realize that this is a two-way street. Okay. Now for this one, I've been pretty PG about this stuff. I've veered away from controversy. So this is where I'll get a little anti-PC. But it really, I hope you stick with me. And if you don't, that's okay. It's just a different opinion. But this has been my experience in relationships. So, okay. You're welcome to disagree with this. These next two parts are pretty controversial, but I think they'll help a lot. Number 5, respect. You want a guy who respects you. Everyone wants respect. How can you feel loved and not respected? Okay? Now, A king, a very high quality man, will demand respect. I know that. I know, as someone who identifies as a high quality man, maybe I'm being egoistic, but I believe that. I will not tolerate disrespect. And a high quality queen will not tolerate disrespect either, right? So to attract a truly high quality dream man, that guy will need a high level of respect. Just factually. All the men in my life who are pristine demand respect in all facets of life. Not egoistically, it's just like when you feel worthy as a person, when you feel like you are a good person, you're worthy of love, you're a good friend, you're not going to tolerate someone disrespecting you because it's not who you are. Okay. That high quality dream guy will want respect. Now, ask yourself, do you truly respect men? If the archetypal concept of a man, feel it. Like, think of the word man, feel the energy of it. What do you feel towards it? Truly, what do you feel towards it? In your body right now, when I say the word man, and you think of the stereotypical concept, archetypal concept of man, how does your body feel? If there's this anger, like, like it's like turned on, like, that's telling you something. If there's this fear, like, oh man, oh my god, fearful, ooh, that's also valid, right? So most women, I believe, nowadays are angry towards men and they're afraid of men. And I'm not saying that's unjustified. That's very justified. Feminism is a very justified movement for the amount of shit men have done. I get it. You're extremely justified in being afraid of men. Fully. I'm never going to sit here and deny that. What I will say is, can you entertain the possibility that a man is safe? That your dream man is safe? That there's a possible man in this world who can make you feel safe? Can you entertain that? And more generally, if you're angry at the concept of man, if you feel this like, fucking like, like angry feeling, how could that not transfer to a dream man? How could that not manifest as disrespect? If you're super angry at men, if you're super angry at the masculine, how can that not become a way of disrespecting your man? Think about it. If you're angry at men, that will inevitably get projected onto whatever partner you have, right? So that's where you have to get real with yourself. I can't be super angry at men and then love a man deeply and respect him. I can be angry at certain men who have fucked me over in my life, valid. If I'm angry at the whole concept of mankind, that will transfer to my partner. Now, how do you heal that? Right? Healing that is not sitting there and going like, man, this is unjustified. No, your anger is justified. But who created that anger? Like for example, I if you're a racist person, you probably had a terrible experience with a person of a certain race. The way to heal that is to realize not everyone is like this one person in a certain race. That's where hate comes from, is generalizing a bad experience with one person and making everyone the same way. So identify the men who fucked you over. And if you're someone who is very angry towards men, that someone is probably your father. That father who let you down, who abandoned you, who wasn't there for you, who didn't apologize, who didn't allow you to develop masculine side, who didn't allow you to express yourself. That anger is justified. Fuck that guy. Until you love him, then that'll move. But allow yourself to feel that rage towards your father. But that rage towards fathers was not accepted because that father would then become dangerous. And if you're a woman who had rage for her father, you couldn't express it because that rage would then take away the love you so desperately needed from that father. So you just internalized it. You repressed it. And now that same anger towards the father is perpetuated and extrapolated to every single guy out there. So that wound has to heal. And that's a whole different fucking episode and concept, but start exploring that. Can you forgive your father? Can you love your father? Can you see how those father wounds made you the person you were? Can you find some gratitude for the pain? I have fucking mother wounds to the 9 yards, to the heavens. Oh my god, my mother wounds run deep. And then my mom died. Holy shit. So the way I found peace in this is I didn't respect women because I had so much anger towards my mother. So much anger. And I only healed that when I forgave my mom and I saw that the lessons I learned with that relationship made me who I was. Who I was is a reflection of that pain. I became the man I am today because I had to conquer that pain. And that gives me immense gratitude for that wounding. So, can you find forgiveness? Can you find gratitude for your father? Even if you fucked up. Even if he was a terrible person, because if he didn't do those things, you wouldn't be the person you are. Our pain shapes us. Can you forgive? Can you have gratitude for that pain? Now, where it gets complicated. Let's say you dated an abuser or a terrible ex-partner. Again, I'm not saying this to defend any of that behavior, but that one terrible, disgusting man's behavior is not a reflection of all men. There are good men out there. There is an amazing guy for you out there. But if you make that moment into a way to believe that all men are that way, you will push away that guy. I hate to say it. For example, like men who call all women whores essentially had a partner cheat on them, and then now use that one experience to stereotype and discriminate all women as whores, and they can't attract an amazing woman because they'll see every girl as a whore. So if your ex was a terrible partner and yelled at you and emotionally abused you, that guy, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck him. But can you hold space in your heart for the fact that there are men out there who aren't that way? Who one terrible person is not a reflection of a whole species. It can't be that way. So find forgiveness and acceptance for the people who hurt you. And then don't generalize a whole group based on one bad experience. Now, for the fear side, I think women will always feel afraid of men. That's wired into them. It's very understandable. So it's important to find a man who understands that fear. But that man's not going to understand that fear if that fear is then used as a way to disrespect him, right? For example, if a woman feels her man about to rage, and that man has control, but she feels his blood boil, that woman will essentially immediately feel terrified, no matter what woman you are, okay? Now, that's very justified. That feeling is justified. That feeling is welcome. However, if that feeling is then used as a way to just run away and say, oh my God, fuck you, you terrible person, you piece of shit, I'm running away. Fuck you. Which happens a lot. It happened in my experience. I'm not an angry person, but I would get blood boiled, and women would then use it as a way to be like, to disrespect me, to be like, what the fuck are her? But then you're doing the same thing that your dad did to you as a young girl. Like you can't like use someone's anger as a way to disrespect them. However, what you can do is say, hey, babe, I feel you getting angry. This makes me feel very, very unsafe because I've had a history of men being a shit to me, and I love you, and I don't want to project that to you, and I want to feel safe in our conversation. Can we just take 10 minutes for you just to calm down? I still love you. You're amazing. Just give me the space to breathe, for you to breathe so I can feel safe again. That's very different, right? That's respect. A woman who's respectful of men will use her fear as a way to communicate that, to say, hey, I need space right now. I love you. A woman who uses that fear to disrespect men will say, fuck you, you piece of shit. You're angry. Blah, blah, blah. You're a terrible person. It's very different, okay? Now, lastly, for this respect piece, if you hate men, if you have anger towards men, there's also an energetic reflection of that, which is you probably also have rage and anger towards your masculine side. We all have feminine and masculine qualities. My anger towards women was also a reflection of my anger towards my own inability to access my own feminine side. So, for woman, what's the relationship like to your masculine side? And that masculine side is essentially your ability to like have to fix things, to order things, to think, to strategize, to do, right? So can you allow yourself to like have a vision and do it, execute it, build it, be a killer, fix things when they don't want to when they're going bad, right? How do you feel about that side of yourself? Does it scare you? Does it make you feel weird? Do you hate it? If you're a woman who has that masculine side in check, who can execute on a vision, who can work hard, who can go to the gym, beast it, that woman who has that side of herself integrated will attract a man who exhibits that to a healthy way. That's the way it works, literally. Like, you attract your masculine side in a man. If you want a guy who's got it together, vision clear, present, locked in, you have to have a side of yourself that's also that way. It doesn't mean you are it, right? If you're a feminine woman, it doesn't mean you are masculine, but you have that side of yourself locked in. You know it. You create space for it to breathe. You don't shame it. You don't deny it. Women who have anger at that side of themselves, who hate that masculine side of themselves, they'll then project that hate to a man. So respect your masculine side. If you don't even know what your masculine side is, give yourself space in a day. If you're a very, very, very feminine woman, give yourself even half an hour just to like have an idea and create it. Or let's say you want to write a poem. Write it. Believe in it. If you want to go to the gym, go to the gym. Be in that for an hour. Just go to the gym and beast it. Feel that energy. Feel that energy of lifting weights. Feel it and love it. Don't hate it. Don't get scared of it. That is the king inside yourself as a woman. The more you feel that and accept it, the more that you'll then feel safe in a man doing the same thing. Okay. Lastly, the last controversial piece. Cultivating your feminine essence. Okay. Most women, not most, I know some, my sister included, who don't want a super masculine guy. That's fair. But this is for women who want a super masculine guy. Women who want to describe a dream man essentially are just describing a very, very, very masculine man. If you want a very masculine man who's in that polarity, you kind of have to be a very feminine woman. That's just the way things work. Imagine a super masculine man. You meet him, James Bond type shit, jacked, present, mysterious, works hard, clear in his mind, owns his shit, pays for you. You just feel that energy. And then on date 2 or 3, he starts being whiny, too vulnerable, sharing everything about him in 2 seconds, blabbing about all his trauma, makes you pay the bill, is super emotional. How would you feel? That guy would be like, that's not my dream guy anymore. Oof, what the hell's going on here? Okay? That same thing is true for that dream guy. If that dream guy has a date with a girl and at first she's super sweet, super loving, super caring, she puts her hand on him, she touches him, he feels her nurturing energy. She speaks her emotions clearly. She's moving, she's free flowing. Her voice is angelic. And then on date 3, she's like, suddenly super demanding, aggressive, not being nurturing, not touching him, not being soft, being abrasive, punching him on the shoulder, being a bro. That guy's gonna be like, what the fuck is happening here? I'm out. So that's true. I hope like that is the truth. If you want a very masculine guy who stays like that, you have to be that feminine woman. And what does that mean? It means that you love and appreciate your love, your ability to radiate love, to radiate nurturing care, to live in your body, to have a deep intuition, to just know things that the mind doesn't, right? Where you have a one-up on your man in the feminine is that he'll logically know things, but that only goes so far. A woman's intuition beats that. If he's going to a business meeting and you see the guy is shady, you'll tell him, hey, that guy's shady. And the king believes the queen's like, you're right. I see it now. And he axes him out. That the keys to the kingdom are in the woman's intuition. So when you cultivate your heart radiating, your deep intuition, your lovingness of your body, the caressing notes of your voice. The more you cultivate those things, the more you'll attract that in someone else. Now, that could be not you. If you're a woman, that's not you. That's perfectly okay. If you're a woman who's not super feminine, that's perfectly fine. But you can't expect to be that way and attract a guy who's super duper masculine. It's not going to work that way. So if you're a woman who's pretty masculine, you got to accept yourself and be, okay, I'm going to attract a guy who's pretty feminine. And we're all changing. I do believe that we can hold a higher vision for ourselves and become it. If you feel like you being more masculine is a protection mechanism because you hate your own feminine side and you want to access that truth, that essence, that is a journey one could take, right? My own journey, I've had to become more masculine because I know I've seen in psychedelic ceremonies that I am masculine. I'm a king. I'm here to cultivate that and become that. And I wasn't that for so long because I was stuck in my trauma, my wounding, my feminine side. I had to build that king, right? And that was my journey because I knew it was me. My path was to become that thing. So if you're already in a place where you're comfortable with yourself, I'm not a feminine woman. Cool, great. Don't expect a super masculine guy. Now, if you're a woman who feels that calling to be more feminine, to be more nurturing, you feel that's your nature, the healing process to go about that is needed. Like, to truly become that feminine essence, you have to conquer that wounded masculine side of yourself that still hates your father, still hates your ex-partners, who got shamed by her mother for being feminine, whatever it may be, right? Again, if you want a truly masculine guy, you have to become a truly feminine woman only if you want to and you feel like it's in your best interest. There is no wrong answer here. I know many couples who are beautifully in love and they're both equal polarities. They're both equally masculine and feminine, but they attract there, they meet there, right? For example, if you're a woman who wants a neutral guy who's equally feminine and masculine, and you want that like neutral peace, because like in polarity is intense. There's fire, there's passion. You could want that, you could not want that. If you want peace, clarity, ease, right? If you want that ease in just a neutral partner, become neutral. If you're a feminine woman who wants a neutral partner, become equally masculine and feminine. Whatever you want, like you can become it. To conclude, again, list out the qualities you want in a man. Figure out if you have that. If you don't, write out how you're coming up short and create a game plan to get there. Hopefully, I've answered some of the questions that come with each of those qualities as I've attempted to list the most stereotypical qualities that men want in women want in men. I've given you ways to become that. So go off and enjoy the journey. What a beautiful gift being single is, because we get to become the person we want in someone else. And when we become that thing we want in someone else, we realize that we don't even need that thing. And when we don't need that thing, we can actually appreciate it and love it. When we need that man to be a certain way to make us feel whole, we're going to be attached to that guy. And when you're attached to something, you can't love it because you need to control it to feel safe. When you are that thing, you can love the reflection of that because you don't need it. So I hope this helped. Go out and enjoy the process of finding your dream man. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to watch more content, please click this video right here and don't forget to subscribe right here. Thank you.